we're in the home stretch now, and I'm now we're gonna be talking about the actual training. We've mentioned that there'll be National Able Train the Trainer event in September. So Dr. Mcgee, if you can turn on your camera and mic, and Sue, I see that you have yours on already. I welcome Sue and Deidre to the call, and I will now mute.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Deidre Mcgee. I'm the Academic Director of the Education and Training Division for the New Orleans Police Department. It was actually the vision of Commissioner Michael Harrison, who was at the time the police chief in New Orleans, following one of the recommendations of the consent decree monitors to have an academic with a PhD to lead the Education and Training Division. And Deputy Chief John Thomas was on the panel that grilled me before I was hired for the challenging position. I'd also like to thank Deputy Chief Paul Noel, because it is the deputy chiefs who embraced and welcomed me, and also empowered me to take the lead with the transitions in education and training. At the Academy, or the Education and Training Division, we follow a developmental approach for initial recruit training. And that means that their learning is set up as building blocks, where information is developmentally, intentionally placed on a spectrum so that skills and knowledge build. And also in terms of our in-service, which is really continuing professional education, the entire dynamic for in-service change to a more professional academic environment. So when I came aboard, my background is in teacher education, human development, educational leadership, and program evaluation. So I used the tagline, enter to learn, exit and apply, because I realized early on, some officers hated coming to in-service. And so my goal was to remind them that everything that they learn, they are to apply instantly. So enter to learn, exit and apply. And when we think about ABLE and EPIC and what we are launching here, it's important to realize the mission is to ensure every police officer in the United States has the opportunity to receive meaningful, effective, active bystandership training. So by meaningful, I'd like to drill into the fact that when I entered law enforcement training 4 years ago, traditionally, police training included more of an apprenticeship model, meaning that the instructors who were officers and trainers had the sort of perspective that, look, I'm the police, I'm good at it. Look at me, do what I do, say what I say, and you will be a good police officer like I am. And so we moved to a more academically rigorous, standard-based instructional practice. So traditionally in the training, there was memorization of legal information. That is the constitutional law, the state and municipal codes, and departmental policies. There was rigorous training in tactical skills, and then basic communication skills with the mission to enhance community engagement. Our transition became more focused on actually teaching and learning. And I challenged the officers who were at the academy. And when I got there, there were officers who had been there for many years, as I was told on a daily basis. However, in our first staff meeting, I asked them, as a trainer, you've been training, and I let them state how many years they've been training and what their specialty is and what their expertise is and what it is that they do best. And then I asked the question, so when is the teaching part? When is the learning part? How do you know the difference? And how do you measure that? And so there was lots of silence. And from that point on, we transitioned our thinking, first of all, to what are our expected learner outcomes? So with this specific training moving forward, we will integrate all aspects of training. We know that we learn cognitively, that is the knowledge base. We learn in terms of the psychomotor, those are the tactical skills. and we learn in the affective domain, which has to do with our beliefs, values, and how we integrate those, and then our emotional intelligence. And you heard Dr. Dvorsky discuss all of the stressors that officers bring into the work environment. So in this training environment, our goal is to be certain that all of those learning domains are balanced. Instead of just memorizing the law and practicing some specific skills, our goal is to integrate learning in a way using scenario-based and problem-based training, meaning we begin with authentic, realistic events that have happened in law enforcement. And then the key is, how do you balance the knowledge? You understand the constitutional rights of a person who is being arrested. You understand the policy, the law, but how do you balance it all with effecting an arrest that is actually within the bounds of the laws and maintaining your professionalism? So in this training, instead of the traditional lecture and PowerPoints, we will use the instructor as a facilitator. And facilitators focus on using guiding questions to lead to more critical thinking and critical discussion. So one thing that I want to mention is that often in law enforcement training, we've bought into specific projects or models, but academic research shows that unless you have persistence with those core concepts and those values integrated across all of your training and re-emphasized, then there's very little evidence of change in practices. So that is why ABLE will include an 8-hour initial session, 2-hour annual refresher training, and then ongoing repetitive roll call training as needed. And the final thing that I want to say is that one of the things that we incorporated into the New Orleans Police Department Education and Training Division was actually integrating our core values, including EPIC, in as many courses as possible when it was an authentic, natural connection. So for example, in a use of force class, learning about force and learning about what's appropriate, the scenarios would involve situations where an officer perhaps didn't use the appropriate level of force, and what options would someone else being present have in terms of intervening, and what are the inhibitors to intervening. So we integrated EPIC across several courses. So when we talk about ABLE being comprehensive and developmental, our goal is to not teach those skills, knowledge, skills, and abilities as separate siloed events, but integrated events that will truly impact the culture of how policing happens in all of our agencies. Sue?
All righty, I guess that's my cue to jump in.
Yes.
I really appreciate the groundwork that Deidre's laid, because this program is so well thought out and so comprehensive. I'm just going to take a minute to talk about the actual Train the Trainer event in September. It will probably be near the end of the month. We don't have a date picked yet. It's going to be held virtually, and it will probably require about 2.5 days of the trainer's time. We are planning at this point to have a short pre-session, probably about 2 hours, maybe on a Friday, to make sure that the students are able to use the technology, and we'll introduce the pre-study materials. So they'll have the weekend to do their reading and be prepared. Then that will be followed up by 2 days the following week, possibly a Tuesday and a Wednesday, with 2 days of highly interactive online instruction, virtual breakout groups, scenario training, and practicing through teachbacks. The event's being developed right now by an experienced team of educational design experts. That design will be informed by the feedback we get from you today, particularly whether or not the first rollout will be for online delivery out across the country or traditional classroom settings. We're kind of seeing what's happening with COVID. Instructors will include expert police trainers, law enforcement thought leaders, academics, including Georgetown University academics, academy leaders, experts from the private sector, and rank and file police officers. The training will cover the content of the bystandership skills, and it will also cover content about how to teach those skills to others using adult learning techniques. Trainers who sign up for the class will receive a collection of world-class materials to make sure that the instructors know the information inside out. And it will, again, I want to reinforce that even if it is taught in a virtual format, there will be a high emphasis on scenario-based training. And through the magic of technology, that's actually possible to do in a virtual setting. So we're very excited to roll this out. Instructors who pass the training and demonstrate sincere commitment to the ability to teach ABLE will be certified and have access to the training materials and support to share it with their agencies. So that's kind of the overview of the Train the Trainer event in September.
Thank you very, very much, Sue. Thank you, Deidre. We very much appreciate it. We're all excited about the big event.